Hi guys, Sean here from DigiDirect. Today we're going to be taking a look at the DJI Ronin-SC, which is their newest gimbal, and it's essentially a smaller brother of the Ronin-S, which came out last year. It has very similar features and build. It's essentially smaller, lighter, cheaper, and meant for a lighter payload than the S is. Although they have managed to fit a few new features in here as well. Let's start though by taking a look at the physicality of the unit. So like the SC comes in a great little carry case that holds all of the pieces snugly. We've got the main gimbal assembly, which features our controls, including a joystick, trigger, and a few other buttons and mode lights. We attach the hand grip here, which is also the battery, and we can also optionally attach this tripod grip, which functions both as a second handhold and as a mini tripod so you can set the unit down. All of that is basically identical to the Ronin-S, except that it's all scaled down a bit in size and weight. What is new though are these locks on each gimbal axis, which allows you to lock the various appendages in place. This is great both for traveling and when you want to balance it, you can lock down one or two of the arms while balancing the third. Definitely makes it a little bit easier. The camera plate here is also different. It's a bit smaller, which unfortunately means that it's no longer Manfrotto compatible, but it does gain a little measurement knob here so that once we've balanced it, we can quickly replicate the position of the camera to save time when rebalancing. Overall, the gimbal retains the extremely high quality build that was present on the S. So I mentioned that the SC is quite a bit smaller and lighter than the S, and that's actually a major point of difference. The S is a fantastic gimbal, but it can get quite tiring to hold after an extended period of time just because of that weight. The SC here is 1.1 kilograms versus 1.86 on the S. So it's about 40% lighter, which just makes it a lot easier to use if you're shooting all day, for a long period of time. It's just much more comfortable and easier to deal with this smaller gimbal. Now, the trade-off, of course, there is that the payload capacity on the SC is lower. It's a max payload of 2 kilograms versus 3.6 on the S. So the SC is definitely meant for smaller, lighter mirrorless setups. The Olympus I have on here is a particularly small example. Another example is all the sample footage that you're seeing was shot with my GH5 on the Ronin-SC here. It'll comfortably take cameras like the Sony A7 range and so on. But you're definitely going to not be able to put massive DSLRs with big lenses on here like you could get away with on the S in some instances. Now, I won't go into too much depth about all the specifics on how to control the SC because it's basically identical to the S. I cover a lot of that in my video on the S, so feel free to watch that if you like. But suffice to say, we've got joystick controls. It's going to follow your movements. We've got a trigger here to do a couple of different things. We've got a variety of different modes like underslung, sports mode, 360 roll mode that was all very popular on the S, and they all work with the same effectiveness on the SC as they did on the S. If we jump into the app though, there are a few differences. We've got a lot of the customization functions and we've got modes like panorama and time-lapse that we saw on the S, but the two new modes here are Active Track and Force Mobile. So Active Track is something that we've seen on the DJI drone lineup for quite a long time now. This is the first time we've seen it on their gimbals though. You can attach your phone to the gimbal using a phone mount that's included in the box, and you can essentially basically use your phone's camera to select a subject, and then your phone's going to track that, and that's going to move the gimbal accordingly, and it'll follow that subject around the frame. And it actually does a really good job at this. DJI has been tweaking their Active Track for a couple generations now, and it's really effective. It does quite a good job at following subjects. This has got a lot of different capabilities that we could use it in. For example, it makes it a lot easier to do some movements when you're not having to worry about the pan and the tilt, and you can just trust it to follow the subject itself. You can focus more on the physical movement of the gimbal rather than the pan and the tilt. It also allows you to do, if you're by yourself, for example, get some more dynamic shots as you can allow it to track yourself. There's a whole range of options that this unlocks. The other option is Force Mobile, which actually uses the gyroscope in your phone to control the movements of the gimbal. So you can see as I move my phone around here, the gimbal is following the movements of my phone. It's really kind of neat. Now it looks a bit like a gimmick, but it actually has some neat applications. For example, say you've got a second operator, you can have one person just moving the gimbal around, the other person using a phone to control the pan and the tilt of the gimbal, or for some other more creative options with some complex movements and so on. Now you've probably been able to tell this from the footage that I've been playing, but just to confirm that the quality of the stabilization coming out of the Ronin-SC is exceptional. It's very high. It doesn't suffer any loss due to the fact that it's a smaller unit compared to the S. It's, in my opinion, every bit as good as the S was, which was also exceptional. So it just works really well in a variety of different movement situations. Just a really high quality unit in terms of its core competency, providing that stabilization. It's fantastic. Overall, the Ronin-SC is a fantastic gimbal stabilizer. I haven't really even touched on the fact that it's a cheaper option than the Ronin-S, so it comes in a little bit lower in price as well. So when you combine the lower price point plus a smaller and lighter option that even has a few new features thrown in, mirrorless shooters who have a rig that is going to work with the payload capacity of the SC have a fantastic option on their hands. Now, if you are using a larger rig, the Ronin-S is still going to be your go-to, and that's fine. The S is a fantastic gimbal as well. But if you don't need that extra weight capacity, I highly recommend the SC. For its weight payload, I would say this is the best gimbal stabilizer on the market. Now, it is out now. You can order it either in the standard model or a Pro configuration, which comes with a mechanical follow focus. Either of those you can get on our website at www.digidirect.com.au, or you can come in store and get one there as well. We have stores in the Sydney CBD, Bondi Junction, Miranda, the Brisbane and Melbourne CBD, and Cannington, Western Australia, which is just outside the Perth CBD. Thanks, guys. Take care.